The envelope was heavier than it looked. I tore it open, half expecting a business contract from one of my father-in-law's endless ventures. Instead, the first words leapt out like a knife to my chest. Petition for dissolution of marriage. My hands froze. For a moment, I couldn't even process it. Divorce papers. Not from a lawyer. Not from my wife. From her father. The living room, usually warm with evening light, felt suddenly suffocating. The curtains swayed from the breeze of the ceiling fan, and the clock ticked too loud, like a cruel countdown. I read the lines again. Cold, clinical words telling me my marriage was over. Words that made no mention of the 10 years of laughter, late-night talks, and whispered promises between me and my wife, Eliza. Her father had delivered this like a gift. I should have seen it sooner. The late nights she blamed on work dinners. The way her phone always lay face down, screen hidden. The sudden coldness in her touch when I reached for her hand. I told myself I was paranoid. That she was stressed. That she just needed space. Because admitting otherwise meant staring into a truth I wasn't ready to face. That the woman I had built my life around had already left me in her heart. Now staring at those papers, I realized denial had been my drug. And her father, of all people, was the one to shove sobriety in my face. 2 days later, I found myself dressed in a tailored suit, standing under the golden chandeliers of the Carlton Hotel's ballroom. It was my father-in-law's 60th birthday. A grand affair. Crystal glasses, string quartets, men in tuxedos, women in silk gowns. Wealth and power dripped from every corner. I shouldn't have come. But something inside me needed to. Maybe it was spite. Maybe it was desperation. Or maybe it was the seed of revenge quietly blooming in my chest. Eliza was there, radiant in a silver dress that clung to her like moonlight. Her laughter floated across the room, warm and musical. To anyone else, she looked like a devoted wife standing beside me. But I knew better now. Her hand rested lightly on my arm, a performance for the crowd. When our eyes met, hers flickered with something, guilt, fear, or just annoyance that I hadn't disappeared quietly. The night stretched on with endless speeches and clinking glasses. When the cake was wheeled in, towering with white icing and golden candles, her father took the stage. He spoke of family, of loyalty, of success. His voice boomed with pride as he raised a glass to his beautiful daughter and her future. I felt the burn of humiliation crawl up my throat. He had already written me out of her future. Those papers in my drawer weren't just legal documents. They were his declaration of victory. And that's when the idea came. Sharp, clear, irresistible. When it was my turn to speak, to honor the man who had welcomed me into the family, I took the microphone with steady hands. My heart pounded, but my voice was calm. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, smiling at the crowd. Tonight we celebrate not just a milestone birthday, but the strength of family bonds. I paused, letting my gaze drift toward Eliza and her father. They looked back, expectant. And family, I continued, is built on trust. Trust between parents and children. Trust between husband and wife. A ripple of unease moved through the room. Eliza's smile faltered. I pulled a folded sheet of paper from my jacket pocket and held it up for everyone to see. Which is why I was surprised to receive this from my father-in-law earlier this week. The crowd leaned in. Gasps rose as they recognized the legal letterhead. Divorce papers, I said flatly. Apparently, my wife and her father decided my marriage was over long before I knew it myself. The silence was deafening. Eliza's face drained of color. Her father's jaw clenched, but he said nothing. I looked at Eliza then, really looked at her. Tell me, Eliza, was every late meeting just another lie? Every touch just another performance? Or did you ever, even for a moment, mean the vows you spoke to me? Her lips parted, but no words came. The ballroom buzzed with whispers. Eyes darted from me to her father, then back again. The perfect facade was crumbling in real time. Eliza finally spoke, her voice sharp, desperate. This isn't the place. No. I cut in, my voice louder than I intended. This is exactly the place. Because everyone here deserves to see the truth behind your glittering smiles. Her father stepped forward, trying to seize control. That's enough. You're making a fool of yourself. But I wasn't the fool anymore. I placed the papers on the podium like a final offering. No, sir. You made a fool of me the moment you delivered these. Tonight, I return the favor. I left the ballroom before anyone could stop me. Behind me, chaos erupted. Guests murmuring, Eliza crying, her father shouting orders to handle it. The night air hit my face like ice as I stepped onto the empty street. For the first time in months, I felt something close to clarity. Was I broken? Yes. Betrayed? Absolutely. But powerless? Not anymore. They wanted to bury me quietly. Instead, I buried their lies under the weight of their own party, their own stage, their own audience. And though the divorce would come, though I would wake tomorrow to a life in ruins, tonight, I walked away knowing one thing. They never expected me to fight back. And I had. As I disappeared into the night, the echo of that silence in the ballroom stayed with me. A silence heavier than any applause, louder than any accusation. It was the sound of masks shattering. And I knew it would haunt them far longer than it would ever haunt me.